Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for another Optc video, and in today's video, we're taking the new Sugo Fest Magellan into some Pirate Rumble. Now, continuing with the World Tour with these the three new legends that did release over here on the global side of the game, with Moria, not Moria, I keep doing that, I keep getting Moria and Magellan, I'm crossing wires. With Magellan, his biggest upside, in my opinion anyway, and where he's going to have the most longevity is in PvP. This particular unit just makes the quick team even better than it already was. And then once Shiryu comes out, it's just going to be an absolute whitewash. But before Shiryu comes out, I did want to showcase what Magellan can do without that extra Pirate Rumble unit support. But nevertheless, he's still very, very good. Let's take a look at what he does. His Rumble special at max level targets enemies within a medium range for level 3 defense down for 20 seconds. Targets enemies within a medium range for 1.7 times his attack. Targets self for a 100% chance to haste, so he's always giving himself haste. It's actually something I didn't know, so we're learning together here, guys. Targets one quick type teammate for 50% chance of haste, and within the first 40 seconds of the battle, he's going to target all enemies for level 3 defense down. So he's basically just a better version of the free-to-play Bellamy on crack. Like, if Bellamy all of a sudden took some crazy steroids, like the Fishman steroids, and then just became a crazy PvP unit, he would look a little bit like this. Magellan's haste ability is so overpowered, especially once you team up with something like Luffy in the future. But if you can get it on the right units like a Kainu or Kaido and then get them to pop their special off, you can just destroy teams. It's absolutely wild. And on a 27-second cooldown, it's very, very easy to do. His Rumble ability... Oh, pressing wrong buttons. He gives quick type teammates HP up level 5, attack up level 5, and for the first 30 seconds of the battle, he gives himself special cooldown level 2, which is really, really good, because you ideally want him to pop off before stuff like a Kainu, before stuff like Kaido. Every single time that I've used this unit, he always goes after a Kainu, but nevertheless, it still works very, very well. His target priority is closest enemies. He does normal attack, power attack, full attack, so he's a straight attacker, and then he completely removes special blind, something else I didn't actually know, so great when you're versing Halloween Lore, as well as reducing damage from strength by 30%, so an amazing unit. But let's take a look at the team. The team looks a little bit like this. Now, very, very taste the rainbow going on up the top there. Everyone's limit break keyed, everyone's rainbowed, everyone's at max cotton candy, well, besides Tessero, but everyone's at max cotton candy for what I can actually achieve them to get to. And as I mentioned earlier, we basically just straight replaced Bellamy on this team. The downside is we can't run an 8-man team. Eventually, when Shiryu comes out, we can do something like this and slide Shiryu in there. And then sort of take Queen off, or maybe take Tessero off, and do something along those lines. But for the meantime, I'm a really big fan of Tessero as well. I really like Tessero in that middle slot. He's got 300 defense, which is great. Queen's an absolutely phenomenal unit, free to play as well, which is great. Akainu's incredibly strong, very squishy, so I put him in the first or the last slot. And then Kaido, we all know how strong Kaido is. Again, probably the squishiest along with Akainu on this particular team, so make sure to have them in the first and the last slot each. The bench consists of Whitebeard, who's amazing on the quick team, as you guys know, it's where he shines the most. He's a nuker on most bench teams, but in the quick team especially, he shines very, very well. Finally, we've got Mask, again, another really, really good nuker as well. But some other really good options for this particular team. You have stuff like Ivankov, the free-to-play Ivankov, as you guys know, or as you guys probably know already. This particular Ivankov is very, very good, so if you're looking for a free-to-play option, there's another one for you. You've also got stuff like the Bellamy, as I've been rambling on. Bellamy's a really, really good option for this team as well. Then you've also got stuff like King for nuking in the back. This Kazuna King's a really good nuker. You've also got stuff like Lucy, the Pirate Rumble Lucy that came out, the free-to-play unit. This guy here, very, very good for the quick team as well. And then you've got some other really good PvP units like Leo. Can see some play. I don't love Leo, but you can definitely see some use there. And then you've got stuff like Stussy. Stussy's another really good option for the front. Again, I'm not a huge fan of Stussy myself, but we do come up against a team that uses Stussy. If you are looking for legend replacements, though, you also have Kuzan for this particular team. Kuzan V3 is an amazing Rumble unit as well, giving a lot more speed and a lot more damage if you're missing stuff like Tessero. But when it comes to Rumble, I'm a much bigger fan of stuff like HP and defense rather than straight attack, because you can just lower defense and then your attack gets stronger anyway. But that's enough about the team. Let's hop into some fights. I do have 7 fights for you guys in today's video, and with that said, let's dive in. Alright, so we're going to start the video off against Slashers. So the first Slasher comp that we are coming up against is utilizing Halloween Lore. Halloween Lore is a really good shout for the Slasher team because of his special blind ability, but with the quick team, they have access to Kaido, who's immune to special bind, very similar to how Rojo is for the slasher team. So it actually works really, really well, as we don't have to worry about that special bind too much. Plus, he is a little bit squishy on this particular team, as this team doesn't have full synergy with... Or actually, with Lore, it does actually have full synergy, because Dofi boosts slashes. Kizaru boosts slashes. But, nevertheless, the quick team just has enough defense to sort of tank those scary shots, like namely the Ryoiin shot. And as long as you don't sort of lose out too much on the special bind if they hit something like your Akainu or Magellan or something like that, you will be okay. But as you can see, like, we're just tanking for days here. We've taken the Odin shot, we've taken a Kizaru shot. We took Odin after Kizaru popped off too. So once we sort of get our units in there, popping off our specials, namely Kano and Kaido, we are really, really safe, I guess. And with that, we can sort of just say goodbye to the Slash team. Slashes, unfortunately, just sort of can't output the amount of damage that some of these defensive teams have nowadays. Once upon a time, they were super fast, they were super quick, mainly because they were very good at doing what the quick team does. But the quick team now just has that little bit more defense, and we don't have to worry about slashes at all anymore. So, quick team just absolutely destroying the Halloween slasher comp. Let's move on to the next slasher team now. Alright, so I found an int team with Moria. Now, this particular team isn't overly, like, super leveled up or anything like that, but it was a really good showcase to show Magellan versus Moria, as I do think these are the two most valuable units from this new batch. Blackbeard's a lot of fun, don't get me wrong, and he is pretty good in Rumble, especially on the Driven Powerhouse team, but Moria's just a little bit better, Magellan's just a little bit better, and they're just a little bit more viable in other content that isn't Rumble. So, say what you will, but Moria's still really, really good, and as I mentioned in one of the other fights, I do want to showcase Moria, and I probably will at the back end of this sort of world tour that I'm doing with these new units. But for the meantime, I really wanted to focus on Magellan, as the Magellan quick team is just, it can do some wild things. As you can see, we managed to pop off a special there, a kind of special, sorry, and we just have so much damage. Once we take out Eneru, we are basically going to say goodbye to most of his defense and his guard. We do take that Moria special, and we do get that sort of half stat debuff that he can provide, which is really nasty, like really, really nasty, as it basically affects every stat that's not HP. When this unit first came out, I thought it did affect HP, which made it even more broken. But unfortunately for Moria, it's just not the case, and it only affects the primary stats. So we get Magellan special popping off. We managed to give haste to both himself and Queen. Unfortunately, neither of them have their specials, or none of our characters have their specials anyway, so it doesn't matter too much. We're going to take the Big Mom special like an absolute champion, because it's still early stages of the fight. She's not at her full potential. And as you can see, the in team's got a lot of defense, a lot of HP, and it's tanking most of our big shots. It survived a lot longer than pretty much any other team that I've come up against. Bar Dex with some good RNG, but this particular team, like I said, wasn't fully leveled up, and I do imagine a maxed int team would actually give the quick team some trouble, with some good RNG and with some bad RNG for my team. But nevertheless, if you are running a defensive team, and you're looking for like a solid option, the int is very, very good, as Moria can just change the tide of a battle very, very easily. But as you guys can see there, the quick team against this particular int team had no issues whatsoever. Alright, so I managed to find a Dex team, and I really wanted to take it on because Quick's biggest downfall is Dex. Obviously, that's just the way of the world when it comes to Optc, right? But the Dex team's really, really good at stalling, like just holding off the unit and getting the timeout mechanic. But with the release of Magellan, it provides us with a lot more defense down, as well as a lot more damage with the Magellan special. Bellamy did a really good job, and Bellamy was the unit that I did have on this team before I sort of changed it to the 7-man Magellan combination. But just Magellan's ability to give defense down, and namely haste. The haste ability is so damn strong, very similar to Moria, and I really want to do a Moria showcase in PvP as well. But with that ability to sort of halve stats, it can change a game like crazy. But with Magellan, he actually gives the haste buff. Now, as you can see, we have Queen special ready to go, we have Tessero special ready to go, and now Magellan's popping off. If he can give haste to one of those units, let's see how he does. So he managed to give haste to Queen, and that means Queen's actually just going to use his special before the enemy has a chance to attack. And as you saw there, they had 3 specials ready to go, and if Queen can kill any of those units, get rid of those specials, you will be in really, really good position, as the Dex team especially just relies on consistently boosting their defense. Unfortunately, we couldn't take out Kid. Kid is like a key player on the Dex team, especially for the defense. What's the word I'm looking for? Like, to keep replenishing your defense. Kid is just really, really good at that. But this particular team, we have a lot of defense down, even though they are nerfing our speed a lot with stuff like the Frankie, who's really, really good at nerfing quick, another reason why I wanted to take this team on, as well as having stuff like Zoro and Sobermask in the back. It doesn't matter too much to us, as even if we do get hit by those massive nukers, as you can see, we're pretty much like at max HP. We've got a lot of defense. We're still sitting at a nice 5 to 7 defense. And even if they do start popping off that crazy nuking Sobermask special and that crazy nuking Zoro special, as you guys saw there, unfortunately for him it was at the 40, not 40. But nevertheless, it kind of just going to sort of clean up the scraps here. We've got Zoro left, and even if Zoro pops off in the last 30 seconds, we will win this fight. There's no issues whatsoever. So, Dex is still really good at defending. No discredit to this guy's team. It was a very good team. Just the quick team with Magellan, just that little bit better. Alright, so I managed to find the Driven Roger Slasher combo with the core Driven team of Dofi, Kaido, Akainu, and Tessero. And then they have Roger there, just because Roger is just an amazing unit. Roger, for some reason, was put in the middle, which I don't really understand with this particular team. I would have something like Tessero in the middle. Tessero's just got a lot more HP, it's got a lot more defense, and Roger's not really getting boosted by anyone on this particular team besides Dofi and Tessero. So, bit of a weird placement choice by this particular player, but nevertheless, it was a pretty good showing. As this particular team, when Kaido first came out, and even like when Akainu came out, was very, very viable. The downside to the team that he's running is it is a 5-man legend team, which means that it does restrict your bench, and you're just relying on those first 5 units to do most of the damage. But nevertheless, it is a defending team. Well, that I'm actually versing. It is a defending team, so you can try and bait some people here and there, but the king of baiting is just running Kaido and Akainu. So if you guys have Kaido and Akainu, just put the 2 of them on your defensive team and just watch the results. It's absolutely wild. I'm getting something like 8 assists a day, which is just absurd. Shout out to my boy Jin in Discord for that one. But as you can see, we managed to take out the whole quick team. Funny enough, Roger was the last one left, even though I was just saying how Roger's probably the most squishy. Pretty ironic how that happens, but nevertheless, we absolutely decimate that particular team. And I have no issues whatsoever when we are running the Magellan quick combo. Alright, and finally we've got some mirror match teams. We're coming up against the Big Dog quick team. So the first team I did find was a mirror match, but they are using Stussy in the front instead of using something like Queen. Now, in my opinion, HP and defense is a lot more viable than attack, especially when you already have so much defense down on this particular team that we are using with quick. The beautiful thing about adding Magellan to the team and taking Bellamy off, the downside is we don't have a 8-man team, but that will change when Shiryu comes out. But with Magellan, he can actually give a lot of defense down as well, so taking off Bellamy is not that big of an issue, as we're no longer running all driven units as well. Magellan basically just does what the Bellamy unit was doing, but better. Now, in this particular first matchup, I didn't have the greatest RNG, and Magellan didn't really work the way I wanted Magellan to work. Funny enough, though, Magellan worked the way I wanted my Magellan to work for him. Ideally, you want all of your specials, all charged, and then you want Magellan to actually pop off. With Magellan's special, he gives haste, and as you guys can see there, he actually gave his Akainu haste, which means that Akainu can come in and do his special, and if you guys get lucky, well, not even lucky, but as long as one of your damage dealers can get the haste, like Akainu or Kaido or even Tessero, you will be in good stead, as you can actually output a lot of damage, and then you still have your regular attack patterns to come. So we did manage to take out one of his units. Sobermask came in and cleaned up our Kaido. Lucky for us, he only hit Kaido, otherwise that could have been a little bit more scary, but we still do have the Magellan special. Magellan's going to drop their defense, do a lot of damage, take out any units if we can, and at this point now, we've pretty much just got more numbers than this guy does, as well as still have this Tessero special, giving us some more defense, doing some fixed damage, and with that, basically, it's going to be GG. So, I do have one more quick fight. I'm pretty sure I have one more. We might have 2, but that was against another quick team. Like I said, utilizing something like Queen with Magellan is very, very nice. Alright, moving on to the next quick team, I did find another Magellan comp, and this one's using Ivankov as well as Lucy. They also have Queen in the back, which I find is very weird. If it was me, I'd have Queen in the front, and then put the Lucy at the back, but still using something like that free-to-play Ivankov is a very, very good option, especially for the team that I am using as well. If you're missing any of these legends, namely Tessero, Tessero is the one that you sort of want to replace if you are replacing any of the units on this particular team, and eventually when Shiryu comes out, I will be sliding Shiryu onto this team and then probably dropping Tessero to the back somewhere. I don't know if I will sort of keep him on the team or not, but that way I can run an 8-man team, and just running 8-man teams, it just gives you a little bit more security when you are attacking, namely with your bench with Whitebeard, Sobermask, and stuff like Lore or Karku or whatever nuker you're using on the bench. Just works out really nicely, as it gives you that security blanket if the fight goes the distance. But the team that we did come up, that we are versing here, it is a bit of a strong team. Obviously, any quick team is still very, very strong. Just in my opinion, it's not exactly the pinnacle, obviously, as it is missing Queen in the front lines. I do think Queen is just an amazing frontline unit. The extra HP that Queen can give, as well as having an amazing special, just works so well for this particular team, as that way you can sort of rely on Magellan's haste to sort of bring your other characters' specials forward. You can tank shots, and you will be in a very, very safe position. Now, the reason I wanted to take on this guy too is he did have Kizuna King on his team as well. Kizuna King's another really good nuking option if you are missing some of those nukers. Stuff like Rare Recruit Anil, the Kizuna King, and there's another one that's slipping my mind. But they all work really, really well in the back as nukers. And if you are missing some of those Pirate Rumble rare recruits, or you're missing some of those higher end legends, then you have access to some very, very good free-to-play units on the quick team, like this guy's using here. They've got Invicov, you've got Lucy, you've got Queen, you've got Bellamy, you've got this King. So unfortunately for him, we still had a lot of defense at the back end of the fight, namely on our Tessero and Akainu because of the Tessero special. I'm a huge fan of Tessero when it comes to Rumble. I actually Limit Break keyed him because of Rumble, namely because he's always going to give level 7 defense to himself, and if he can ever give the defense to any other character, it's just going to help out massively, namely on Kaido, Magellan, and Akainu. The downside is he actually goes into the fight to use his special, so sometimes it's not that viable for the team, but it's always viable for Tessero. And for the final fight of the video, we're taking on what I believe is the second in line team, that is Psy. Now, Psy is very, very strong. Do not discredit me when I am saying that I believe it's the second in line best team on Global at the moment. But with the release of Magellan and the power that Quick has, I do think that Psy just does come a little bit short, but nevertheless, Psy can still definitely take this team down with some good RNG and some bad RNG on our particular side. So I was on stream when I was doing some matches, so I have plucked this straight from the stream, so I do apologize that we can't see like the full top of the screen and see like how many seconds and stuff left, but this particular fight went down to the wire, so I really wanted to showcase it against the Psy team, as this is why running a 7-man bench or a 7-man to 8-man team is very, very strong. Is if you do lose your big front runners and get some bad RNG, which we did have a little bit of bad RNG in this particular fight, but our enemy just had some really, really good RNG, namely with that Otama in the back coming in to just heal and basically just stall the fight even longer. But with Enel and Rebecca Toy Soldier, their nerfing capabilities, namely for slashes, but the ability to sort of drop defense anyway, and with that particular special of Rebecca, basically dropping all of our characters' defense, with Roger dropping all of our defense, all of our attack, and all of our speed on this particular team. It was just kind of like very, very frustrating to watch, as we basically just had to just sit through this and just tank most of their shots. They've got a lot of defense on the side team. They've got a lot of speed with the special of Enel, and if they manage to get those two specials, namely with Rebecca Toy Soldier and Roger popping off on majority of your units, you are going to take a lot of damage, as you are going to lose a lot of defense. But lucky for us, that defense down and that attack down and stuff doesn't last forever, and we can actually get some specials back and do output some damage. But as you guys can see here, like Tessero is almost dead in our middle slot, which has not even come close to any other fight. Magellan's almost dead as well. I don't even think, Tessero doesn't even pop his special off, unfortunately. And he manages to get Otama in the first spot of his bench. Otama's a great defending option. I just think Shirahoshi's a little bit better for the side team, but Otama in the back can, again, change the wavelength of a fight, as she can come in and just give you guys a monster heal, stall out the fight for a little bit longer, or provide you guys with that just a little bit of extra HP to tank a few shots, survive a little bit longer, and take out some enemies. So they did have Stussy in the back, and I do believe if they had a better nuker, they probably would have won this fight. Something like Mask or Law, or even Kaku, I do imagine that they would have actually been in a little bit of a better position than they were. But lucky for us, the good RNG that we got was we actually got Mask coming in with his special, and as you can see, when Mask pops off his special, he does a lot. Law still had his special, so we did lose Kaido, and then we're basically just relying on our bench to finish off this fight, and that's why utilizing a 2 to 3 man bench is so damn viable. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one today. If you did, make sure to go down there and belt the like button for me. If you're new to the channel too, hit the big red subscribe button. But guys, wherever you are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Later!